Hey, hello. I'm going to try and record this way. Um, and now talk about the rest of the game. So we've gotten through the milk scene, which was this first block at the beginning. This block, Conker enters into this block, the milk scene, and then is just propelled directly into Windy, the main section. In the main section, what happens next, in broad strokes, is the Queen Bee section. Then, after meeting Birdie a second time, you get to go to Barn Boys, the farm. You can also go to other areas, but I think the most common thing is to go to Barn Boys. Then there is, I think, a choice between Bat's Tower and Sloprano, the shit place. And then after Sloprano, after defeating the Sloprano boss, you get to descend into the next section of the game, which I won't talk about now in this section. Now, I'm hoping I can get as far as I can in one video, but of course, who knows? This is as many videos as it takes. But let's try and focus on this stretch now, which is post-milk scene all the way to beating the Great Mighty Pooh. In this section of game, then, basically, we spoke a little bit about the Queen Bee. There might not be that much more to say about that, except that it is the first thing you encounter in Windy, and it is, once again, a king or a queen, a monarch. So that's the first sort of flavor you get introduced to when you come into Windy. And this monarch has lost their partner. Their partner has gone away with someone else. And this has caused them great pain. And this then also causes the hive to be lost. That is to say, the society which the monarch is a king over. So some sort of situation with their love life has some connection then to their situation with the monarch as ruler of the land, of their country, of their society, of whatever it is. That's the first thing you encounter in Windy, this meeting with the bee. Second thing you meet in Windy, I'll go to Barn Boys. Barn Boys, you meet, for example, two metal cubes that are bouncing around, and one of them is a man cube, and he's got a woman cube on top of him, and he's mad about this. The situation is described in terms of a woman cube is on the back of the other cube, the man cube. The man cube says that she's on my back, and he describes the situation in that way. There is this feeling that he wants her to get off his back. That's the situation he describes. I think he uses those words as well. So once again, we're meeting with the situation of a man who wants his partner, a woman, to go away, disappear, and therefore stop kind of being on top of him. The Queen Bee situation was describing a similar kind of thing, in that, right, the King Bee has the queen bee says he has run off with another woman. So there is also a feeling of men who separate from their partners, women, because of them getting I guess it is described in different ways. It is mostly described as maybe an act of getting tired with that situation and wanting sort of to thrill seek or something, go find greater and greater pleasures or something, newer and newer pleasures, something like that maybe. I mean, I'm not really sure how to get into this or how to describe it exactly, but these are two examples we get of this situation. The thing also is that these cubes are then using wordplay, which is common in this game. I think is an important aspect of this game because, of course, being on someone's back idiomatically, I think, refers to like someone feeling that someone is controlling you or always sort of aware of what you're doing and following your every step and not letting you move freely, kind of thing, which is the cliche kind of term of a man who feels that his woman is controlling him, that kind of thing. And there is this way in which the So what are we talking about? Okay, so men and women, this sort of relationship thing. The theme is one of men not wanting to be controlled by women and women being felt to be controlling by the men. That is okay. Where to go from there? Well, of course, in the Barn Boy section, there is the sunflower scene in which the king bee, again, we meet him for the first time. We see that he wants to have sex with the sunflower. This is a confusing kind of situation because you're not really sure what he wants, I think. It's as if what he wants is to pollinate her, he says. Now, of course, in literal terms, that would be, therefore, to get a process into play that would end up producing honey for him that he can then take back to the hive. Or just for him, I suppose, to produce honey. Something that he can get out of this situation in terms of like if it were a bee sucking on a flower, usually the goal, I mean, as we understand it in a cartoonish kind of way, would be, getting honey. Speaking of goals in a cartoonish kind of way. Okay, so I'm not sure what I want to go with this now, but I wanted to focus on a certain aspect of what's happening at the beginning of the game, because that may give us some clues as to how to follow up or continue the section we're at now. So, because you see at the beginning of the game, something happens with how Conker and Barry interact, which is Conker is also, in some way, feeling like Barry is stifling him, or Barry would be too much hard work right now. Or there's a feeling of like, now I'm at the bar and it's fun, and going home would be less fun. And so I need to I'm interpreting this situation in some way, and this is how I'm choosing to interpret it. Conker would prefer to stay at the bar, but he had, I guess, made a promise to Barry that he would be back home at some point, right? And be with her. And so at some point he needs to make up some excuse or call her and let her know that that's not going to happen. He's going to break his promise, and he does that. He does that because he would prefer to stay in the bar. So I think that staying in the bar, he would like to stay in the bar because it's more fun and exhilarating for him in some way. It is the opposite of going back to the same old routine. Even though the bar is just as much a routine in a sense, there is maybe the growing pleasures of like a sense of freedom, maybe, right? If being home with Barry is like a promise, a shackle, so to speak, like you need to be there. There is a sense of you need to be there regardless whether it's fun or not. The freeing yourself from that is a sense of freedom and fun and excitement. And of course, drinking alcohol also gives it a feeling of ever rising levels of intoxication, ever rising levels of laughter, of fun, and so on. So I think that's one of the things that's happening at the beginning of the game, which is maybe an escape from routine towards extravagance and fun. And the thing is that then that at the beginning of the game collides with the aspect of war, the issue of war. War becomes an important aspect of this game because Conker is, in a sense, heading towards war. He doesn't know that because he doesn't think that he's one of the people enlisted to go to this war. But he ends up going there anyway. Everyone at the bar, not everyone at the bar, but both the manual and the game, in different ways, suggest that there is a big group of people at the bar who are going to fight the war the next day, as they do in the game. And that therefore this reunion in the bar is like a moment of departure. It's like a goodbye moment. And therefore, what we have here is a departure. It's a saying goodbye, right? The whole game, in a sense, is a saying goodbye. And I'm sort of intrigued by an issue that possibly emerges here. If this party that Conker is at, just a normal night out, but it's a party in the sense of it's an extravagant, fun, drinking kind of event. If this event is mainly oriented towards going to war, that is, it is presented as an escape towards war, a moment of culmination that leads to war, then you could say that there's something that sort of echoes in my mind about this, which is it sort of echoes the idea of soldiers leaving their family life to go to war, right? That's sort of an archetype in war stories, I think, throughout the generations, is the archetype of, if you're fighting in a war, there is an aspect of leaving family life to go there. And so Conker is not leaving family life because he's going to a war. He's leaving family life because, well, first of all, he's not really considering that he's leaving it. He's considering that he's just searching for fun. He's searching for more things outside of family life, right? He's not going to war, but he effectively is going to war. He ends up going to war. So the almost just eternal separation from family life, because it is an eternal separation. He never goes back home. He never goes back to his life with Barry, ever. It's gone. Like, his sort of decision to not go back home that day, not just his decision, but let's just say that, you know, him not going back home that day is the last time that he doesn't go back home. So, even though he's not going to war, he's sort of, in some way, I feel, echoing the archetype of the person who leaves family life to go to war, but with this added psychological dimension that he wanted to leave family life because he wanted something exciting that was different from family life. I'm sort of intrigued by the weird duality between those two aspects in the game, I suppose. Like a more psychological aspect and a more global collective kind of aspect. I don't know.